The sky over the Iraqi desert glows with a predatory hunger as the sun sets. Operation Desert Storm and Operation Iraqi Freedom represent the pinnacle of modern war. Total air supremacy was not just a goal. It was a devastating and absolute reality. This is the complete high-definition catalog of U.S. aviation during the Iraq War. We begin our journey with the elite vanguard, the fighters and the attack aircraft. These are the kings of the sky, designed to hunt and destroy anything that flies. From the high-altitude interceptors to the low-level killers, the variety is staggering. The roar of jet engines marks the beginning of a new era in global combat history. Dominating the high heavens is the F-15 Eagle and its brother, the Strike Eagle. The F-15C is the undisputed king of the air, a pure-blooded air superiority fighter. During the conflict, it cleared the Iraqi skies, scoring the vast majority of air kills. Astonishingly, the Eagle fleet maintained its dominance without suffering a single air-to-air loss. Beside the interceptor flies the F-15E, known to the pilots by the nickname Mudhan. The Mudhan was the deep striker, built to find targets hidden in the deepest shadows. Using advanced synthetic aperture radar, it hunted for Scud missiles in the western desert. Under the cover of pitch-black nights, it neutralized threats before they could strike allies. Next, we witnessed the F-16 Fighting Falcon, often called the Viper by those who fly it. Small, agile, and produced in massive numbers, it was the true workhorse of the coalition. No other aircraft flew more sorties, proving its reliability in the heat of the desert sun. It was the ultimate multi-role platform, capable of shifting from dogfighting to bombing in seconds. The Viper's missions ranged from the tactical to the highly strategic across the entire theater. They struck Republican Guard tanks in the open sand and command centers in downtown Baghdad. With its bubble canopy, the pilot has an unobstructed view of the chaos unfolding below. The F-16 remains a symbol of American air power versatility and relentless operational tempo. From the decks of massive aircraft carriers comes the F/A-18 Hornet, the Navy's primary fist. Launching from the Persian Gulf, these jets proved their legendary versatility on day one. The Hornet was designed to handle the most demanding carrier-based operations ever conceived. It stands as a testament to the Navy's ability to project power from the sea to the shore. In a single mission, a Hornet could transition through multiple phases of high-intensity combat. They would shoot down enemy MiGs in the morning and switch to ground bombing by noon. This seamless transition between roles made the F/A-18 a favorite of carrier air wings. The dual-engine design provided the reliability needed for long flights over hostile territory. Rising from the deck with a roar is the F-1 for Tomcat, a legend and a Top Gun superstar. While it was famous for its air-to-air prowess in Iraq, the Tomcat underwent an evolution. The legendary Interceptor transformed into the Bombcat, a precision strike platform for the ages. Its long range and heavy payload capacity made it a formidable asset for ground commanders. Equipped with precision targeting pods, the Bombcat delivered laser-guided munitions with ease. It provided essential support for ground troops moving through the treacherous Iraqi landscape. The iconic swing-wing design allowed it to operate at both high speeds and low loiter times. Though it has since been retired, its performance in the Iraq War remains a part of military lore. The F-111 Aardvark was the tank plinker and the unsung hero of the Desert Storm campaign. This swing-wing bomber used its advanced infrared sensors to see through the haze of battle. It specialized in finding the heat signatures of armored vehicles buried deep in the desert sand. While it lacked the glamour of the fighters, its lethality was unmatched by almost any other jet. History records that these bombers destroyed over 1,500 Iraqi armored vehicles during the war. This incredible tally earned the Aardvark a reputation as the deadliest tank killer in theater. Its ability to fly at terrain-following altitudes allowed it to sneak past many radar systems. The F-111's retirement marked the end of an era for specialized long-range tactical strike. Flying directly into the teeth of the enemy was the F-4G Wild Weasel, the radar hunter. This was the last ride of the Phantom, an iconic jet from an earlier era of aviation. These specialized crews flew directly into the heart of enemy air defenses to draw fire. Their bravery allowed the rest of the coalition fleet to operate without fear of surface-to-air missiles. Armed with HARM missiles, The wild weasels targeted and destroyed active Iraqi radar sites. They played a high-stakes game of electronic chicken with enemy missile operators. By suppressing the enemy's ability to see, they effectively blinded the entire Iraqi defense. The F-4G's contribution to air supremacy was foundational to the success of every mission. Then comes the A-10 Thunderbolt II, known to the world and feared by all as the Warthog. This aircraft was built around the massive 30mm Gatling gun, a weapon of terrifying power. Iraqi armor crews learned to fear the distinctive burp of its cannon, echoing across the dunes. It was designed to survive heavy fire while staying on the battlefield to protect soldiers. Despite several attempts by the brass to retire it, the A-10 proved to be utterly indispensable. It chewed through massive convoys of vehicles on the infamous Highway of Death. Its rugged frame and simple systems allowed it to operate from forward, dusty airstrips. To the infantrymen on the ground, the Warthog is the most beautiful sight in the sky. The AV-8B Harrier II, the famous jump jet, provided the Marine Corps with close air support. Operating from amphibious ships near the coast, it could reach the fight in minutes. Its ability to hover and take off vertically made it a unique asset in the congested airspace. The Harrier was the perfect tool for supporting Marines pushing deep into the heart of Iraq. The Harrier could loiter near the battlefield, delivering ordnance on entrenched infantry. Its accuracy was described by many as terrifying, hitting targets with surgical precision. The Marine pilots took pride in their ability to operate without the need for traditional runways. It remains a symbol of the Marine Corps' commitment to integrated air and ground combat. On the opening night of the war, the F-117 Nighthawk, the Ghost, made its entrance. This was the world's first operational stealth fighter, a marvel of secret engineering. It looked like nothing else in the sky, a series of flat facets designed to deflect radar. While the world watched CNN, the Nighthawk was already over the target in total silence. The Ghost flew directly into the heart of the world's most heavily defended airspace in Baghdad. It destroyed strategic command centers while remaining completely invisible to Iraqi radar. Not a single Nighthawk was lost to enemy fire during the high-stakes missions of Desert Storm. This jet proved that stealth technology had fundamentally changed the nature of aerial warfare. We transition now to the heavy hitters, the bombers, and the massive flying gunships. These aircraft represent the shock and awe portion of the American military doctrine. They carry the weight of a nation's resolve, capable of leveling entire military complexes. From high-altitude carpet bombing to precision night fire, their impact was undeniable. The B-52 Stratofortress is the sledgehammer and the grandfather of the modern Air Force. Despite its age, it launched cruise missiles from hundreds of miles away with perfect accuracy. It also delivered devastating carpet bombing runs that broke the will of the Iraqi forces. The sight of a B-52 formation is enough to make any enemy commander reconsider their position. The massive payloads of the B-52 shattered the morale, the elite Iraqi Republican Guard. It could stay in the air for days with refueling, reaching any target on the planet. The BUFF, as it is known, has seen combat in every major conflict for over 60 years. In Iraq, it proved that old-school power still has a place in the digital age of war. Next is the B-1B Lancer, or the Bone, a supersonic heavy bomber with a lethal profile. It carried the largest payload of guided weapons in the entire United States inventory. Using its incredible speed, it could dash across the desert to strike emerging targets. Its sleek, variable geometry wings allowed for both high-speed dashes and fuel-efficient loitering. The B-1B could loiter over targets for hours, waiting for the precise moment to strike. This on-call bombing capability was vital for supporting special operations in the field. The Bone's thunderous engines are a reminder of the raw power contained in the bomber fleet. It remains a key component of the global reach and power of the U.S. military today. The B-2 Spirit, the Flying Wing, is the most expensive and advanced aircraft in history. It flew non-stop missions from Missouri all the way to Iraq and back, a feat of endurance. This stealth bomber delivered satellite-guided bombs onto hardened, deep underground bunkers. Its unique shape makes it virtually invisible to even the most advanced radar systems. The Spirit could touch targets that no other aircraft in the world could even hope to reach. It represents the ultimate marriage of stealth, range, and massive destructive power. Only a small number were built, making every mission a high-value strategic event. The B-2 is the silent guardian of the night, a shadow that brings certain destruction. The AC-130 Spectre, known as the Angel of Death, is a cargo plane turned into a battleship. Circling at night over cities, it rained down fire from its massive onboard 105mm howitzers. It was also equipped with rapid-fire Gatling guns to suppress enemy movement in the streets. The Spectre provided an umbrella of fire for special forces teams operating in dangerous urban zones. The sight of the Spectre's puffs of fire from the sky is a terrifying image for the enemy. It can loiter for hours, providing constant surveillance and immediate fire support. The accuracy of the 105mm cannon allows it to hit targets within meters of friendly troops. It is perhaps the most requested air asset by ground commanders in the entire war. Now we turn to the electronic warriors and the command and control platforms in the sky. These are the brains of the operation, the aircraft that manage the chaos of the air war. Without these planes, the fighters and bombers would be flying blind into a trap. They are the invisible glue that holds the entire coalition air campaign together. The E-3 Sentry, or AWACS, is the eye in the sky with its massive rotating radar dish. It managed the complex air traffic of thousands of coalition jets in a very small space. The AWACS ensured total dominance of the airspace by identifying every friend and foe. It is a flying command center, staffed by controllers who see the war in 3 dimensions. The E-2 Hawkeye is the Navy's quarterback, providing command from the carrier deck. It managed the air war over the Persian Gulf, directing Navy fighters to their targets. Despite its smaller size, its radar is powerful enough to monitor hundreds of miles of sea. The Hawkeye is the essential link between the carrier strike group and the air battle. The E-8 J-Stars is the ground watcher, a converted airliner with a unique downward radar. It could track moving vehicles on the ground in real time across the entire Iraqi desert. This ensured that no Iraqi convoy could move under the cover of night without being seen. J-Stars provided the intelligence needed to destroy the Iraqi army's mobility. The EF-111 Raven, or Sparkvark, was an unarmed jammer designed for electronic chaos. It flew with the strike packages, flooding the airwaves with intense electronic noise. By blinding Iraqi radars, it created a safe corridor for the bombers to reach their targets. The Raven proved that the most powerful weapon isn't always a bomb, but a radio wave. The EA-6B Prowler served as the jammer and the Navy's primary electronic shield. It escorted strike packages, blasting noise to blind surface-to-air missile installations. The Prowler's crew of 4 worked tirelessly to stay one step ahead of enemy radar tech. It ensured that the fighters could survive in the world's most lethal air defense zones. The EC-130 Compass Call is the disruptor, a plane designed to jam communications. It prevented Iraqi commanders from issuing orders to their troops during the heat of battle. By cutting the nervous system of the enemy, it left their units isolated and confused. Compass Call is a silent warrior, fighting a war of frequencies and interrupted signals. The C-130OJ Commando Solo is the voice, a flying radio, and television broadcast station. It was used for psychological operations, broadcasting messages to the Iraqi army and civilians. The messages urged soldiers to surrender and gave civilians instructions on how to stay safe. It proved that winning the hearts and minds is just as important as winning the physical battle. The RC-135 Rivet Joint is the listener, a massive jet that vacuums up electronic signals. It listened to enemy radio traffic to locate high-value targets for the bombers to strike. Its crew of specialists could translate and analyze enemy communications in real time. The Rivet Joint provided the ears for the coalition, hearing the enemy's secrets from miles away. The RC-12 Guardrail is the Army Spy, a modified civilian plane bristling with antennas. It intercepted tactical radio and cell phone communications on the front lines of the war. This allowed ground commanders to pinpoint the exact location of high-value enemy targets. Small but effective, the Guardrail provided immediate intelligence to the soldiers in the dirt. The P-3 Orion, known as the Land Hunter, was originally built to hunt Soviet submarines. In Iraq, it flew overland, using its powerful sensors and cameras to track insurgent activity. It was particularly effective at spotting teams planting IEDs in the middle of the desert night. The Orion's long endurance made it the perfect overwatch platform for convoy protection. The U-2 Dragon Lady is the high spy, flying at the very edge of space in a pressure suit. It used advanced cameras to provide high-resolution intelligence from 70,000 feet up. Continuing its legacy from the Cold War, it remained a vital asset for strategic planning. The Dragon Lady sees everything, from troop movements to the construction of secret bunkers. The S-3 Viking, nicknamed the Hoover, was the Navy's ultimate utility player in the Gulf. Originally a sub-hunter, it evolved to hunt patrol boats and serve as an aerial tanker. It kept other Navy jets fueled and ready, ensuring the carrier wings could stay on station. The Viking was the jack-of-all-trades that kept the naval air war running smoothly. We now enter the era of the drone revolution, where the pilot is no longer in the cockpit. This shift changed the face of warfare forever, allowing for persistence and precision. Drones provided a persistent stare that no human pilot could maintain for long periods. The Iraq War was the proving ground for these new and controversial robotic weapons. The MQ-1 Predator was the watcher that eventually turned into a lethal killer. Originally a surveillance drone, it was armed with Hellfire missiles during the conflict. It changed warfare by allowing pilots in Nevada to strike targets in Iraq with a click. The Predator became the face of the modern war on terror and insurgent networks. The MQ-9 Reaper, known as the Hunter, is larger, faster, and deadlier than the Predator. It became the primary weapon against insurgent leaders, loitering silently for 14 hours. It can carry a massive array of precision bombs and missiles for high-stakes strikes. The Reaper represents the evolution of the drone into a true hunter-preacher of the sky. The RQ for Global Hawk is the High Eye, a massive surveillance drone for high altitudes. It replaced the U-2 in many roles, scanning vast areas of the desert for enemy movement. With its incredible wingspan, it can stay airborne for over 30 hours at a time. The Global Hawk provides a constant, unblinking eye over the entire theater of war. Behind the scenes are the tankers and transports, the lifelines of the entire air campaign. Without these gas stations in the sky, the war would have stopped in a matter of days. They are the unsung heroes who ensure that the fighters always have the fuel to fight. The logistics of the Iraq War were a miracle of modern engineering and planning. The KC-135 Stratotanker is the flying gas station and the lifeline of the American air war. Despite their age, these tankers circled the borders of Iraq 24 hours a day, every day. Without them, the short-legged fighters could never have reached their targets in Baghdad. The KC-135 is the backbone of the global reach of the United States Air Force. The KC-10 Extender is the big tanker, a converted DC-10 airliner with massive capacity. It carried twice the fuel of the KC-135 and could refuel both Air Force and Navy jets. This multi-point refueling capability made it an essential asset for large strike packages. The Extender allowed entire squadrons to move across the ocean in a single go. The C-130 Hercules is the tactical hauler, a legend that has served since the Vietnam War. It was essential for landing on rough dirt strips to resupply forward operating bases. The Herc also dropped paratroopers into northern Iraq to open a second front in the war. Its 4 turboprop engines and rugged design make it the ultimate battlefield transport. The MC-130 Combat Talon is the Night Intruder, a blacked-out Hercules for special ops. Filled with electronic countermeasures, it slipped into enemy territory at treetop level. Its mission was to insert Navy SEALs and Delta Force operators deep behind enemy lines. The Combat Talon operates in the shadows where the risk is high and the margin for error is zero. The C-17 Globemaster III is the strategic link and the modern heavy lifter of the fleet. It could carry an M1 Abrams tank from the United States directly to a short runway in Iraq. This bridged the gap between slow-moving ships and fast-moving tactical transport planes. The C-17 is the magic carpet that allows the Army to move its heaviest gear anywhere. The C-5 Galaxy is the Titan, the largest plane in the entire United States inventory. It moved the massive sheer tonnage of the Army, carrying multiple helicopters at once. Across the vast ocean, the C-5 brought the weight of American industry to the theater. When a C-5 opens its nose to unload, it looks like a whale swallowing the desert. The C-2 Greyhound is the mailman, the dedicated carrier on board delivery aircraft. It kept the aircraft carrier supplied with essential parts, mail from home, and personnel. Without the Greyhound, the floating cities would quickly run out of the basics of life. It is the vital umbilical cord between the fleet and the rest of the world. Finally, we descend to the grit and the dust of the helicopters. The soul of the Army. Helicopters live in the dead space between the ground and the high-flying jets. They are the most vulnerable and yet the most intimate part of the air war. From the first shots to the last rescues, the rotary wing fleet did it all. The AH-64 Apache is the tank killer and the lethal longbow of the modern Army. It fired the very first shots of Desert Storm, destroying radar sites in the open desert. Its Hellfire missiles decimated Iraqi armor columns from miles beyond their visual range. The Apache is a flying tank, designed to survive in the most hostile environments. The AH-1 Super Cobra. The Snake is the primary attack helicopter for the Marine Corps. Smaller and narrower than the Apache, it is just as aggressive in a close-quarters fight. It provided close protection for Marine convoys pushing relentlessly toward the capital. The Cobra's slim profile makes it a difficult target for enemy insurgents to hit. The UH-60 Black Hawk is the modern taxi and the iconic replacement for the old Huey. It became the symbol of modern air assault, moving troops into the heat of battle. Fast, durable, and reliable, it evacuated the wounded under the heaviest of enemy fire. The Black Hawk is the heartbeat of every air assault mission in the Iraqi theater. The MH-60 Pave Hawk is the Rescue Angel, a specialized Air Force search and rescue bird. Equipped with a refueling probe, it flew deep behind enemy lines to rescue downed pilots. Its crews are trained to go into the most dangerous places on Earth to bring their own home. The Pave Hawk is the difference between a pilot being captured or being saved. The MH-53 Pavelo is the lead wolf, a massive special operations helicopter of the elite. Packed with terrain-following radar, it led the Apaches into Iraq on the very first night. It navigated through total darkness and sandstorms to blind the enemy radar network. The Pavelo was the heavy-duty muscle of the special operations aviation community. The CH-53E Super Stallion is the Hurricane Maker, the largest helicopter in the military. It carried heavy artillery and light armored vehicles directly to the Marines on the front. When it takes off, the downdraft is so powerful, it creates its own localized sandstorm. The Super Stallion is the heavy lifter that makes the Marine Corps a mobile force. The CH-46C Knight, the Frog, was the aging but reliable marine transport of the era. Despite its age, it flew tirelessly, carrying Marines from ships to the shore during the invasion. It has since been replaced, but its service in the initial push to Baghdad was critical. The Frog was a faithful servant that never quit, even when the desert heat was at its peak. The CH-47 Chinook is the heavy lifter, a tandem rotor beast with incredible power. It carried artillery, supplies, and vehicles to the most remote operating bases in the north. Its unique design allows it to land on its rear wheels on the edge of a mountain or a cliff. The Chinook is the workhorse that keeps the remote outposts of the Army alive. The UH-1N Twin Huey is the veteran, a twin-engine version of the legendary Vietnam Icon. While the Army retired their Hueys, the Marines flew these into the heart of Baghdad. It provided vital command and control for the invasion force during the chaotic early days. The Huey remains one of the most recognizable and beloved silhouettes in aviation history. The OH-58 Kiowa Warrior is the scout and the brave eyes of the artillery. These pilots flew low and slow, marking targets with smoke and lasers for the heavy hitters. Operating often within small arms range, they were among the bravest pilots in the sky. The Kiowa was the scout that ensured the big guns always hit their intended mark. The MH-6 Little Bird, the Killer Egg, is the preferred choice of the special operations. Small enough to land on a rooftop, it inserted Delta Force operators into tight urban spots. It can be armed with miniguns and rockets, making it a wasp with a very deadly sting. The Little Bird is the ultimate tool for precision insertions in the darkest of nights. The V-22 Osprey is the Transformer, arriving later in the conflict to change the game. This tiltrotor aircraft combines the speed of a plane with the vertical landing of a heli. It gave the Marines unprecedented range and speed for their long-distance assault missions. The Osprey represents the future of aviation, where the limits of rotor or wing are gone. From the precision of the laser-guided bomb to the silence of the stealth fighter, we saw it all. The Iraq War redefined what it means to have air supremacy in the digital modern age. Every aircraft mentioned played a vital role in a massive, coordinated symphony of steel. This has been the War Decks, a journey through the machines that ruled the Iraqi sky. As we look back, the F-15 Eagle remains the gold standard for air-to-air lethality. Its record of 0 losses in air combat is a testament to both the machine and the pilots. The sky over Iraq was a dangerous place, but the Eagle made it look like a training ground. Even today, the F-15 continues to evolve to meet the threats of the 21st century. The Strike Eagle's role in scud hunting saved countless lives by preventing wider war. By hunting mobile launchers at night, they neutralized Iraq's most dangerous strategic weapon. The ability to see through darkness and sand is what set the American pilot apart from all others. Technology and training merged to create a force that was simply untargetable. The F-16's contribution cannot be overstated, as it was the jet that did everything. From the wild weasel missions to precision strike, the Viper was the flexible blade. Its high-G maneuverability ensured that no Iraqi pilot could ever gain the upper hand. The F-16 remains the most popular fighter in the world for a very good reason. The Navy's Hornet pilots faced the unique challenge of operating from the moving deck. Their ability to strike targets deep inland and return to a carrier is a feat of skill. The F/A-18 family continues to be the primary offensive arm of the U.S. Navy today. The Hornet's sting was felt by every level of the Iraqi military during the conflict. The stealth revolution, led by the Nighthawk, proved that invisible war was possible. By destroying the enemy's ability to coordinate, the stealth jets won the war on night one. The psychological impact of being hit by a plane you can't see is overwhelming. Stealth is now the standard for all new American fighters like the F-22 and F-35. The intense survival against critics is a story of performance over politics and red tape. No other plane could take a hit from an anti-aircraft shell and still return to base safely. The Warthog's titanium bathtub protects the pilot even in the heaviest of fire. It remains a beloved icon of the American military's close-in fighting spirit. The heavy bombers like the B-52 and B-1B provided the global reach that allies relied on. They showed that the U.S. could strike anywhere on the planet with massive force. The shock and awe campaign was made possible by the tonnage carried by these giants. They are the true long-range hammers of the American diplomatic and military toolkit. The electronic warfare suite, from prowlers to rivet joints, was the silent winner. They fought a war that the public never saw in the spectrum of radio and light. By winning the EM battle, they ensured that every other jet was essentially safe. Electronic warfare is now the most critical part of any modern military engagement. The drone revolution in Iraq was only the beginning of a much larger global shift. What started with the Predator has led to an era of autonomous and remote combat. The ethics and tactics of war were changed forever by the MQ-1 and MQ-9 missions. The sky is now shared between human pilots and the robotic eyes that never blink. The tankers and transports were the silent foundation of every single mission flown. Without the C-5, C-17, and KC-135, the war would have been geographically impossible. They moved 1 million soldiers and their gear halfway around the world in record time. Logistics is the true secret behind the success of American air power in the desert. The helicopter pilots flew the most dangerous missions closest to the enemy's guns. The Apache, Black Hawk, and Chinook teams lived in the dust and the heat with the infantry. Their stories of rescue and fire support are the most dramatic of the entire Iraq War. The rotary wing is the bridge between the high sky and the bloody ground. We conclude our catalog of U.S. aviation during the Iraq War, a legacy of total dominance. From the first Apache strike to the last Osprey mission, the sky was always American. The lessons learned in these deserts continue to shape the future of flight and warfare. This is the War Decks honoring the machines and the men who flew them into history.